And that's the thing, like when I used to use social media for social, and then what changed 2 years ago when I started my practice 2.5 years ago is I started using it for business. And now I never use it for social. I only use it for business. And I guess I didn't really think about that until just now, that that's really changed my relationship with it. Like I feel like there's something I need from social media. So I don't know. And that's why I got to this place with, recently feeling burnt out is I thought, I don't even know if like who I'm showing up online as anymore is the real quote unquote me.
Welcome to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast, where we share new and different ways to practice gratitude that you might not have thought of before. Our guests come from many different and diverse backgrounds, and the one thing they all have in common is a passion for gratitude. I'm Julie Boyer, a gratitude and gut health expert, and I love showing you different ways to practice gratitude that you might not have thought of before. Hello, friends. Welcome to this special podcast with a good friend of mine, Erin Marin. This is the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast, but Erin is an emotional health coach who also has a podcast, and she'll be broadcasting it on her podcast as well. So Erin, tell us about your podcast.
Yes, that's going to be a special edition on my podcast as well, which is called the Emotional Wellbeing Podcast. And here I am today for all my listeners with my friend Julie, who is a gratitude and gut health expert. And we're very excited to just have a conversation and let you guys kind of listen in and spy on the things that we talk about when nobody is watching.
Yes. I mean, who knows who's listening right now? I mean, it's just you and I chatting over Zoom. And, we had this conversation last week. We started talking about all these things, I've done for Erin's audience who might not know, or people who are newer to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast. I took this summer off. I was dealing with burnout, chronic pain, and just really an inability to work at all. So I took the summer and invested in some serious rest. I stopped posting on social media. I logged out of all my apps. I shut down my business for the summer, and I just took care of myself. And this sort of prompted some conversations how, what does it look like me coming back into business after such a long break? But I know, Erin, you've also been kind of rethinking how you're doing business these days as well. So what's been going on with you?
Yeah, what's going on with me and my business is, if we're being frank,
We are.
It's been a bit of a tougher year. The first year of my coaching practice really took off. I had a lot of referrals, and then the second year, kind of the referrals dried up, I guess you could say. And then it was just all about social media marketing, and that is like an uphill battle, as you know. It's like a beast in its own self. People have, degrees in marketing we've talked about, and companies that manage social media. So to be trying to, learn that, which is a huge learning curve for me, especially because I was never really much of a social media person. So this year was kind of all about trying to learn about how to use social media, and whether or not I'm doing it correctly or what, it's just been a little bit of a time. And just really kind of burnt me out as well. Creatively, I'm sure you can relate. Like it's such a creative part of the job on social media is, to be thinking up new ideas. And I feel like my brain never shut off. I can be laying in bed watching TV and something would hit and I'm like, where's my paper? I'm like jotting notes down and content ideas and like single sentences that I go back and I'm like, what the heck does that mean? I don't even understand what that means. Like on the grocery list. So this year for me was a lot of scrambling, I might call it, with not much results in the way that I was hoping. And now, rounding the end of the year, is I have kind of bounced back into the middle where I was a chef for 20 years before starting to coach. And so now I'm kind of starting to realize that I would like to integrate both careers. I was joking. I was just literally talking about this with my mom, saying how like in my ex-husband relationship, which was really toxic, when I left him, I went to the other end of the spectrum and I dated like a really, really super nice guy. But it was too much. And so now with my current fiance, I feel like I'm back in the middle. And I think I've done the same thing with these careers. You know, I was in cooking, then I wanted to get out of cooking and I went to the opposite end of coaching and I just like rejected all of that kind of, culinary, not knowledge, but just that angle of a career.
Yeah.
And maybe I went a little bit too far to the one side. And so now I'm trying to find that balance again, back in the middle of, a chef and a coach. And my fiance, his funny nickname for me is Coach Chef. So now that's kind of where I'm at. Sorry, that was a kind of a long-winded explanation to your question because I just finished talking about it with my mom. So my brain is like kind of on fire about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm all about finding balance and integrating both of my, knowledges and interests and passions that I have.
I mean, I definitely understand that.
Mm-hmm.
We introduced me as a gratitude and gut health expert, right? I've been trying to marry two of my passions for a really long time. And I think that's what definitely led to my burnout. One is trying really hard to make two things fit together that don't necessarily fit together. Occasionally I get someone who said, yeah, actually, I'm really glad I found you because I found you through gratitude, but I'm struggling with gut health. So that would happen occasionally. But overall, the two are still quite separate things. And I've been trying to do the two of them for a really long time, which means on social media. So let's go back to the whole social media thing and how this current expectation on social media, I would say, is, I believe, directly leading to burnout for solo entrepreneurs or coaches, or even for content creators, if that's your career, which is a possible career now. Unlike you, so I have been involved in social media for a long time. I joined Twitter in 2007. Actually,
and you're on a lot of accounts too, right?
I'm on a lot of accounts. So I actually closed my Twitter account this summer, like for good. And then I ended up reopening it a few weeks ago. But now with everything that's happening with the new owner and stuff, I think I might just like leave it for good. But Facebook, same thing, around 2006, 7, like right at the beginning. I was one of the earlier adopters of Instagram. I've been on TikTok for almost 2 years. So I've been on LinkedIn since like the beginning. And I really feel like I just got to the point where, no joke, there were some days where I was creating like 30 pieces of content. Because I was creating something for TikTok, but then I'd have to recreate it in Reels for Instagram. And then you put it on Facebook, and then you want it on YouTube. And then you're taking the written and a picture and putting that on Instagram. And then you've got Instagram stories that are going 3 or 4 times a day. Yeah. It was insane. And
and they're all different audiences. So you do have to slightly adjust each time you repost something or try to like repurpose the content.
Well, and also what's difficult is that, the apps don't like it when you take something that's watermarked from one app into the other app. So then then you have to take the same video. So
not to mention if there's glitches.
Don't talk. I basically gave up on Instagram because Reels would glitch on me. I was an early adopter of Reels.
Yeah.
And I stopped. I just couldn't deal with this anymore. And so you're thinking, but Julie, you're supposed to be like the grateful person. And where's your gratitude in all this? And here's where my mindset shifted, Erin, is for years, I felt like social media was such a gift. And I was just so grateful about how I was able to produce this content and get it shared for free with my audience. And now, and maybe you feel the same way, maybe you don't, because I'd be curious to hear how you feel being newer to this whole social media thing. I feel now like, especially high volume creators are being taken advantage of by the apps because we are creating the content to keep their audience engaged.
Yeah. It's kind of like
For free.
free labor, essentially.
Free labor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I came to Facebook in
12. Yeah.
2012. Yeah. I met a group of friends and, I love like electronic music and dancing and events. I'm like a big party girl. And I needed to know like what was going on with this new group of friends that I had met after I left my ex. I kind of started a new life and I got this new great group of friends. And they're like, oh, you have to join Facebook. So I joined Facebook and that was awesome. I love, and that's the thing, like when I used to use social media for social, and then what changed 2 years ago, and I started my practice 2.5 years ago, is I started using it for business. And now I never use it for social. I only use it for business. And I guess I didn't really think about that until just now, that's really changed my relationship with it. Like I feel like there's something I need from social media. So I don't know. And that's why I got to this place with, recently feeling burnt out, is I thought, I don't even know if like who I'm showing up online as anymore is the real quote unquote me. Or am I just trying to show up to be the thing that other people want me to be to get the business that I want? Like it really just kind of did like a mind fuck on me, pardon my language. And I just like, it wasn't fun anymore. I wasn't having any fun, and like just 2 days ago, there was this memory that came up for Halloween of me and my girlfriend in this bee costume. And I mean, I post coaching stuff all the time and I don't really share it to my Facebook as much. Like my Instagram is more where I do my business stuff, but it still shares to Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'll get like 3-4 likes on content that I know it's not bad. Like it's good. But then I do these bee photos and it's like 60 likes and like 20 comments by friends. And I feel like, what the heck am I doing? So it's frustrating. It's frustrating to want to put out help there. And then really, I have no idea how it's being received. Actually, maybe people think I'm very annoying, like those are, beliefs and programs and like thoughts that you just have to muster through and do anyway. And even if there's 2 people that like it or comment, then hell, that's 2 people that have maybe been helped by it. And 1 is enough even, But for sure, having a social versus business relationship with business media, should we call it that?
Yeah. You were just talking about like business media as opposed to social media. And I think that's kind of where I got trapped is like, I'm trying to post about gratitude. I'm trying to post about gut health. I'm trying to post about just life, like, new dog, daughter, whatever, that kind of thing, hiking, all these things. And what was frustrating, I think, and that's what you mentioned about the likes and the comments and stuff is like, I would get tons of feedback if I post a picture of a sunrise with a gratitude, saying, but then I would post stuff about gut health or everything and just crickets. And I think it's twofold. I think it's that I don't know that we want to be sold to on social media as much anymore. I think like as a consumer, but I also think the platforms are like, if you want to sell stuff, you got to pay for that now. You got to pay to do that.
Yeah.
So
I know, I feel people are more looking to be entertained.
Yes.
By social media.
Yeah.
Although any business coach would probably be like, that's a limiting belief.
Well, it's either educate or entertain.
It's
like
true.
Those are your options, right? And so
best if it can be both at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Entertaining education, which those do well. Yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time on TikTok. I was posting sometimes 3 times a day for months and months and months. I'd started in July, so the year before my like official burnout time. And I started with a 30 days of gratitude thing. I tried so many different ways to really build on TikTok. And I'm going to tell everyone a secret here. Okay. So I finally did have a piece of content go viral. It was my own sound, my own words. It was 30 seconds of me. I do cold ocean dipping, cold immersion. And I often bring my phone in the water with me. And I was talking with some friends and I was talking about, feeling like my self-care cup like had holes in it. And it struck a chord and
Mm.
went completely viral. It has like almost 1 million views. So you're like, oh my, Julie, you've made
You're
it.
like, that's it.
That's it. This was not the first time I had a video go viral, but the first time I had a video go viral that was kind of relevant to what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? Like not just
Yeah.
based on, and I was like, this is it. Like, I'm so excited. Like now I have an audience I can talk to. And I was taking the comments from that video and making them into new videos, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're like engaging back and all that. But just like everything else, having a viral video, everything kind of, I have a whole bunch of new followers now, but my videos quickly went back to around the same number of views that I was getting before.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, my biggest reel I had was like 18,000, which hit, and I was like, wow. And then I had like a 6 and a 7 and a 5 and a 3. And then it was like 200. And then it just flopped. And it's like, I don't know what I did. Like I feel like I'm doing the same sort of stuff, but, and that was kind of when I really started to get frustrated, is then when you see the success of something.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know why. Like I kind of knew why, but I didn't really know why. And then it just flops. And again, I still don't know why. Like it's just the confusion of, and I'm not going to say the algorithm because I think that's what everybody says, but the confusion of however it is that it works.
Yeah. And I think there's this like misconception that if you have a video go viral, like you're set.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a video. I was one of the very first adopters on Facebook Reels, like really, really, really early on Facebook Reels. I was like, this is it. Like, I'm going to make it on Facebook Reels. And I had a video go to 10 million views on Facebook Reels, but it was just like me acting out to a sound, and it was fine. It's great. But it was so early in Facebook Reels that like any comment, stuff could just kind of go viral. Like, but it did not grow. I grew by a few, maybe 1,000 followers or whatever. And I never got back, but I was first on that. And I thought, well, do you feel sometimes like, you're like, okay, well, if I'm just like first here, or if I do this here, like it'll finally hit. And I think one of the things that you and I kind of got involved in this conversation is like, what happens when you feel like you're doing the things, or you're doing all the things and you're not, and you've got a sharp mindset and you're emotionally intelligent.
Yeah. Taking all your
supplements. You still feel like it's not working.
You're sleeping, eating, and moving your body. Well, I was on this workshop call this week with a coach, and she was coaching somebody on the call, and they were talking about their business and how, some of her perfectionism was getting in the way. And the coach was saying how it's really like a successful business as an entrepreneur is like a culmination of all the small things that don't really seem to matter. And she specifically brought up, I don't know, some woman who was on Oprah, and she thought that was her big moment. She's like an author. She went on Oprah, and she thought, that's it. This is going to be the start. And she said it was nothing. She went off Oprah, and she thought the money would just start to like flow, and it was nothing. And it did nothing really. And she just had to keep kind of at the grind. And I mean, it's interesting. You just, were saying that, because I just heard that yesterday, and I thought, it's relieving to hear. And then it's also like, I just feel tired hearing that. Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was an entrepreneur before with my personal chefing, but not in the way that I'm trying to do it now.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you've been an entrepreneur for
17 years.
17 years. I mean, is it a tiring life as an entrepreneur? Did it have moments where it felt more energizing, or I don't know, like,
so okay, you're right.
Like, does it go in cycles, I mean, or like?
It did for a while. So my first initial, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I'm a terrible employee. I worked 6 years in corporate Canada, hated it because I always am a person with lots of ideas. I'm very creative, and I have lots of ideas, and I want to make things more efficient and work better. And I want to improve processes. And like I was mostly in customer service jobs because I'm bilingual. That was usually where I would end up. And a lot of teams don't really want the customer service person to like give them strategies on how to like improve their processes. Just it wasn't really well received often. And so I would just get bored really, really fast, like just so bored. I'd be done my work. It's not even noon. And I'm just like, what do I do all day? Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not an employee. So I've done entrepreneurial things since I was a child. And yeah, I actually dropped out of school. I had been working overseas as a teacher, a French teacher. And I come back to Canada to go to school to be a teacher. I was like, I'm finally going to do this. I'm going to be an official teacher. I'm going to do this. And I found network marketing at that time, which was 2006. And I dropped out of school to build a network marketing business, which you would never do that today. And so when you say like what I did this is the thing, right? When you hear success stories, so much of that success hinges on timing and the landscape of when that person had their success.
Yes, that's the other thing we were talking about.
Right?
Yeah, these, yeah.
Like so what I built in my first 10 years in network marketing, like you can't build that today. It does not exist anymore. So I can't tell you, Erin, how to build what I have in network marketing anymore. It just doesn't, the industry has changed so much that what I did is not impossible. Like you said, anything is possible. It's just very, very different. And for me, probably the best time in my career as an entrepreneur, mostly again, doing my network marketing business was really the most successful year I had. And that was my only 6-figure gross, income year. Was when I just advanced in my network marketing business, like really a lot. And there was so much momentum and there was a whole team of us advancing together, like from all across Canada. Like the energy and the momentum was incredible. And yeah, Erin, kind of like in your first year of coaching, it felt like it could last forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then it didn't. And that's normal. But I've never been able to, since we're being frank, I've never been able to get that momentum back. And I wasn't able to maintain it because I'm probably back then I was already experiencing burnout.
Yeah. 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 I mean,
6 years ago.
When I think about like my first year, and maybe in the year you can relate, I was so excited. Like, I was so like on fire with it, and I was learning, and I just was confident. And I asked myself also, like, I'm a law of attraction person, like, did that generate business as well? And then after a year of doing it, still passionate, but more tired for sure, learning more, feeling more confused, trying to diversify, like just so much else going on other than just like that. I mean, I'm an Aries too, so I'm like a starter. Like, I'm hot out the gate. And then, you have like 1 or 2 months that it's, don't attract any clients. And then the self-doubt starts to creep in. Then you start to get stressed. And then, then it's 3 months, 4 months. And then the rest of the year, you're kind of running on fumes, trying to put on a brave face every day on social media and show up like everything's cool. And, especially as a coach, like I kept saying to myself, well, if I quit, like that's not coaching myself well. Like if I decide to give up, it's right. It's like, is that not the whole point to being a coach, is that you persevere and you have resolve and you stay committed and you don't let your thoughts get in the way. So then that kept me in a trap of like not just admitting to defeat in the way that I was going about it. And you said to me, that's like sunk cost fallacy. Like, we put so much time and energy and money into something that it's hard to go, okay, well, I'm just going to pull out now and do something different. It's like, well, maybe if I just wait 1 more week, or it's 1 more reel away, or one more email away, like whatever, one more something away from success. And then suddenly it's like 6 months later and bank account is like $100.
Okay. Yeah. Like, so I feel that, but over like 17 years, right? Like 2021 was actually a really strong year for me in my network marketing business. And I've always had the other gratitude stuff like on the side. All that other gratitude stuff though, has never kind of broken the $10,000 in revenue per year on just all the gratitude stuff. The really maintain, income has been through the network marketing business. And 2021 was a really good year for me. And I had invested in a program, right? I invested 10,000 US dollars in a program for the year, which the irony is my income grew by 10,000 US approximately. So it kind of like paid for the program, but didn't really end up ahead financially. And then I was like, but I got so much out of this. I'm going to do it again. And I was like, this is it. Like 2022 is going to be my year. Like, this is it. And then we did this like challenge. I was like, I'm one 30-day challenge away, right? I'm one 30-day challenge away from breaking through finally. And what that 30-day challenge did is it burned me out so bad that I could barely function until I got to the point where, so that was January. And then in April, I was like, told my husband, I was like, I can't do any more. And I'm setting myself up to take the time off at the end of June. And the sunk cost fallacy, right? Because I've invested now for a second year in this program, got a discount, but I was just like, how can I let this go? But I physically was like, I couldn't sit. I was crying while interviewing my podcast guests, but not about their stories.
Do you, I don't know if you believe in like divine intervention or like, do you see that all transpiring as meant to happen? Like, was it supposed to go that way? Do you feel like, do you see the reality as something that was kind of like, I don't know, orchestrated in some way for your benefit now that you're on the other side of it, I guess?
No, I'm still definitely, listen, I'm definitely in a better place than I was.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's such a great question. I do believe in God. I believe in a higher power that, flows in and out of our lives. And like, I believe actually that, we're all a part of the divine because we're all connected and we're not separate from the divine. And so do I believe that my path is going this way for a reason? I do.
Yeah.
And I had a bit of an aha moment when you said something, because letting go of my network marketing business is that sunk cost fallacy for me. It's like this inability to say the gut health part of what I do, nutritional supplements, all that, as much as I love it, it needs to go so that I can make room for all the other things that I've been fighting and scratching for space for all these years. But because the network marketing business has always brought in the most money, it got the most attention.
Yeah. It was deemed the most important kind of.
Yeah. And, Erin, I'm really, really lucky. I have some income still coming in from that business and I haven't touched it since the end of June.
Yeah. Is there a grieving process for you to letting go of the network marketing? Like, is it like saying goodbye to an old friend or?
Oh, it's like ending a marriage.
Yeah.
It's for sure. It's like, I've been with my network marketing. And the thing is I'm not like breaking up with my network marketing business. And also very gratefully accept my
stay friends after.
And we're staying friends. I still will use lots of, I was thinking about that last night. I was like, would we want to use less? I'm like, no, we use so many products and that's not going to change. Like it's just part of.
You're friends with benefits, essentially.
Yes, I'm friends with benefits. Exactly. I buy from the store, they give me a discount, and then they pay me a little bit to just stay positive and use the product. So there was definitely a lot of grief this summer in my writing of realizing that how much I'd have to let go of in order to physically be able to show up in the world.
And even like letting go of your expectations of yourself.
Yeah.
Like probably a lot of, I don't know, pressures that you put on yourself for so long to have to put those down.
I mean, I'm sure you probably feel like this too. When you're a creative person and you have so many ideas, the hard part is saying no to some of those ideas or almost all of them, really.
Yes.
That's
I
the
mean,
hard part.
yeah, that post you shared with me this morning, the guy, it was a post from, do you want to just mention who it was from?
Oh yeah, Russ Barton, one of the scientists that we work with. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just kind of wrapping up some points around brain health and nutrition, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And something that he said in there was about people who are creative, was something about how when we're creative, we'll do things to try to avoid boredom. So we end up, the way I took the sentence anyway, was that it's easy to indulge in habits that maybe aren't the most healthy for us,
Mm.
because when we're creative people, we always want to stay busy. We want our minds to be engaged and energized. And when, if we're ever feeling like we're starting to get bored, then we look to like fill that need to stay stimulated and interested.
Yeah. For sure.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And that kind of goes against rest, and
Exactly.
this is the part where you and I both have, I mean, we're not alone, first of all. I'm sure that somebody listening out there is like, has no real concept of rest because
Mhm.
it has been erased from
Yeah.
our culture.
Yeah.
It's starting to come back. Super fun, Erin. Just before I started my break, I went to the used bookstore. I love the used bookstore. Love books, right? So
Me
get them
too.
at a discount.
Yeah.
But you always find treasures in a used bookstore, right? And
Yeah.
I found a book called Permission to Nap.
Ooh.
The thing is this was written at, I think, late 90s, early 2000s. And it was all about how our culture is so fast paced and we need to slow down and take. I was like,
You're like, you're telling me just wait,
right?
wait a few decades.
Yeah. So this is not a new problem,
Mm-hmm.
but
And more
it's
of a North American problem, though. Like, I mean, my fiance is French, and he takes a lot of his lifestyle. I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the way that he lives his life from like more borrowing from European sort of principles. And he is all about taking a rest, taking a siesta, like enjoying play just as much as work. And I find it very, very funny how, like, I always think to him,
yeah,
like, not that he's a slacker, but like I notice my propensity to
right.
want to, stay busy. And he's just like, relax already. And it's been so good for me because really now I can like sit on the couch. Like I'll sit on the couch and watch TV. And, some people might say it's me distracting myself, but really it's the way that I just like sit down and do nothing and be okay with it. Like it's
Yeah.
like I need to be entertained when I'm doing nothing at the moment in order to feel relaxed and calm in that situation. Hopefully that's going to continue to be something I practice the older I get. But for now, if sitting on my ass watching TV for 2 hours is the way that I rest, then that is totally fine with me.
Yeah, we were definitely, the lie, I think, is that because we were pushed so hard to be so productive that watching TV is bad. I mean, I was trained by Jim Rohn, which I love. I mean, I love Jim Rohn for sure for the man that he was at the time. But he, when he was doing his training, it was like you sell your TV to help build your business, right? So you sell the TV and then you free up the time to build your business and you use the money to like invest in your business. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that way of thinking, but that was in a time where it was such a different time. We just don't live, our minds are constantly being assaulted and this productivity myth is so brutal. Okay. But I do have a question though. So where is your fiance from in France? Do you know what part of France?
Well, he's Quebecois.
Oh, Quebecois, not French.
Yeah, no, he's
Okay,
Quebecois
like
and his family came
French
here in like the
Canadian.
1600s.
Oh
So
yeah, okay.
he's
So
like
he's
really,
Quebecois. So this
really
is
Quebecois.
so you're speaking to someone whose parents are, my mom is Quebecois and my father is from France and from Paris.
Right.
And my father is a workaholic.
Oh, really?
Like really bad work, like serious issue workaholic.
Yeah.
And So that's why I was like, it's interesting that you were saying about French. So I got a workaholic dad from Europe, which is completely opposite to what you would think.
Maybe it's
And my
because he's
mom,
Parisian.
but my mom's the one who would take a nap every day.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
think it's just that idea of like
yeah,
enjoying your life as
yeah,
well as
yeah.
working, which is equally important, I think, at the balance
Right.
of both, which is what you and I have been trying to figure out. I have a question for you though. It's
Sure.
something that when I was talking with my mom prior to this, is I was saying how something that's been interesting with now coming back to, because so I've decided to start picking up some personal chef clients
Yeah.
because I just need to be like, I need to be doing something. And with coaching, like I want to help people. That's what matters to me, is just helping people. And personal chefing was also helping people. And so I
Mhm.
thought, you know what, if what I want to do is help people, then maybe I should do some of that. And again, it'll kind of give me some more momentum. And, you know, it helps with me feeling just like purposeful.
Mhm.
But what's been interesting is when I stopped cooking was 2 years ago. Now that I've come back to it on the other side of being a coach, I'm so different in the job. I'm approaching the job differently.
Mm.
Like it's the same job, but a different version of myself, which then makes the job feel different. And my mom, who had retired, then she was called back to work. And after retirement, she said she went back and the experience was so much more positive because she had changed and grown through her
Mm.
retirement. So
Yeah.
for you, like when you kind of took your break,
Yeah.
now you're on the other side ish of the burnout and everything that you've learned and healed. Like, do you notice that you feel differently about coming back to your that, you know, at that side of your business from this new angle and perspective, like a new Julie?
Yes, I definitely don't take social media as seriously as I used to.
Yeah.
I It's interesting because I didn't think I would bring the podcast back, but I really like the podcast. So I brought the podcast back, but I'm also not chasing an interview every week.
Yeah.
If there isn't one, there isn't one, and that's okay. And then I have fun just talking with people, just doing little solo episodes. I'm going to be, when you're listening to this, you might have already heard I'm doing 30 ways to practice gratitude for the month of November. I'm going to do my first 30-day audio program thing, which I've never done before. I've got all these I've done it on social, I've done it on TikTok. I'm like, I'm going to just try it on audio this time. So that's different. I also am mindful that what I've picked up is plenty,
Yeah.
right? So I'm doing my calendar that I do, and selling some of my gratitude cards and the podcast. And I'm writing my book. I'm writing my book that I've been wanting to write for a really long time. I'm writing, 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 writing. I joined
Right.
the Hay House Writers community, and that's enough.
Yeah. How do you
And
know it's enough?
you don't, but I also,
Like, what's your indicator there?
well, the indicator is how I feel during the day, how tired I am,
Yeah.
how, if I'm getting through, if most days I'm not resting, then it's too much. So if I have a bunch of days in a row where there's no rest, no time, it's nature, no lying on the couch with my feet up, whatever, then I'm like, oh, pull back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've had to really let go of being financially stressed. I have to, the faith that I have that it's eventually all going to work out, because right now it's going in the wrong direction or in the negative direction. But like you said about divine, timing, or like a journey and everything, that's been really big for me, is like, what is just like being okay that things might be financially more difficult before they're better. And I have to just be okay with that, because I closed that door. I don't want to go back through it, because that, like you said, like you've changed. So
Yeah.
it's like that door doesn't even exist anymore. So,
Yeah.
I think, as we kind of wrap things up, I'd love for you to share, Erin, you said you've changed as a coach and you've come back into your chef work and you've changed. for those that are listening, especially those that don't know you, maybe from, from the Wake Up with Gratitude side, um, what's sort of one of the coaching strategies or personal strategies, you've used to help with your emotional well-being going through all this? Like, where have you been leaning? What's been helping you to go through this?
Hmm. I mean, cliched one is always, what am I learning? That's that's the easiest way I know to, you know, uh, change my energetic state if I'm in some sort of stressful place. Is always the thought is that's causing the stress is like things should be different than they are. That's the number one thing to notice is I'm only upset because I think things should be different and they're not. So just let that go. And then, like, what am I learning from this? How is it serving me? And I mean, I use that all year. It's just keep trying to every day trying to think, like, what is the lesson in this? Like, how is this to my benefit? And I mean, for me, because I'm an emotional health coach, really anything that challenges my emotions, I welcome because I might not like it in the moment, but I know that discomfort is the price that we pay for resilience, in my opinion. And I've really looked at this year as very uncomfortable. Like I was talking with my fiance about it, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs, if they're listening, can relate to this. I just felt like, and this, I mean, this is my brain talking. Like every day I woke up and tried and failed, like
Mm.
every single day. It was like, get up, try, fail. And by fail, I mean no new clients. And, I had clients, but they just kind of petered off. And, the goals that I had financially and whatever client wise or workshop wise or program wise just weren't happening. And I thought, frickin' 10 months of getting up, trying and failing, getting up, trying and failing, getting up, trying and failing. And it was something I really realized because I felt like maybe a couple weeks ago, I just felt like I had this sadness inside of me that was so like intense, like this sad little girl that was just like so disappointed that how she had hoped her business was going to go, it just hadn't worked out. And I felt so sad for that. And then I felt so proud that regardless of that sadness, every day I got up and kept trying. And now I've gotten to a place where I have accepted that banging my head against a wall is just really not getting me any results. And it's time to pivot. And I think, entrepreneurs probably feel like ballerinas. A lot of the time, you're just like dizzy from spinning in different directions, trying to figure out what works and trying to adjust for the climate and like people's wherever the collective psychological like mind of society is and what people are going through and everything else. So I would say that really also understanding that even if I felt sad, disappointed, let down, angry, frustrated, that I could also feel grateful, proud, happy, appreciative. Like it can always be both. It can always be emotions that are comfortable and uncomfortable. And really, when you're in that place of discomfort for whatever reason, like to remind yourself that emotions are generally always layered. It's just that we feel the ones that are painful the most, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can find something to a thought or a memory or close your eyes and have a mental image of something that can bring you some joy, that then you can sit in the energy of both. And that makes it feel better and helps you get through that day so you can get up and try again the next day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, totally. Hope it helps somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'll leave our audience with this about gratitude and gratitude practices is that, someone who's been practicing gratitude for over a decade in so many different ways, I find that I can always find something to be grateful for, even in the darkest days, even when I'm just feeling like nothing's working and totally, I mean, I went through some times in the summer where I was just like, never going to work again and all these things. And it was hard. It was hard, but like to pick up my pen, the writer that I am, and just write down a few things that I'm grateful for. And you can do that in a note in your phone. You can just say it in your head if you want. It just brings me back to a place where I can make different and better decisions. And it does help move through some of the really hard emotions sometimes. Like, you can't think straight when you're so angry. So sometimes speaking of emotional well-being, I was angry a lot this summer. And so to be healthy with my anger, I took my anger out on the page as opposed to my family. Not to say that there weren't times when they weren't on the receiving, but I would say that I'm like, just want you to know I'm really feeling angry today. So if I'm angry in your direction, it's not about you. And then write that anger down, and that works for me. And then also be able to write some gratitude. And sometimes it's like, I'm grateful that I was able to write down everything I was angry about.
Yeah. No, you're right. There's always something. Like I find the health and well-being of my loved ones is a really easy one that shifts my mood.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy my daughter's healthy. I'm happy my mom is healthy. I'm happy somebody. It's really easy. But yeah, and I love how you said that, like to tell people that I am angry. Like that's so major. Like some people, they can't ever tell they're angry. They just show they're angry. And to be able to voice it, it makes it so much easier to deal with.
Yeah.
Right?
Because usually you're not angry at your partner or your kid or whatever.
No.
Generally. So I've learned a lot. So, Erin, first of all, thank you for letting me speak to your audience, and thank you for being here for my audience. And I'm just so grateful for our friendship and what we've learned from each other and how we are supporting each other. Where do people find you?
Yeah.
If they're listening on my podcast.
So like I said, my podcast is the Emotional Wellbeing Podcast with Erin Martin is my last name. And you can find me on Spotify. I also have an Instagram, Erin Jacqueline Martin. That's Jacqueline, Jaclyn. Or my website is erinmartincoaching.com.
All right. And for Erin's audience, my podcast is the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast. And you can find me at wakeupwithgratitude.com. And you can find me on socials. I'm mostly on Facebook these days on my personal feed, but you can look up Julie Boyer, Boyer, Wake Up with Gratitude. That's the easiest way to find me too. So
you have the most beautiful sunrise calendars, which just as to wrap up here, that when we did the podcast before, we were very different people with a different relationship. And now here we are on the other side of it.
Yeah. And it's been about a year.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll have to share that link in the show notes.
Yeah, happy
sure,
friendiversary.
Yeah, happy friendiversary. All right. Well, thanks so much, Erin, and everybody on Erin's podcast and everybody listening to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast. Just so grateful to have you all here.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie. Love you.
Love you. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the podcast. I appreciate you. If you're not already following us on your favorite app, make sure you click on the check or follow podcast so you'll be alerted every time there's a new podcast episode. If you enjoyed the episode and want to help us grow, here's some easy things that you can do. You can leave a review on your favorite app. You can share this podcast with a friend and send it directly. And you can also share through social media. Feel free to tag me on any posts in your stories and I'll repost. Thank you to Paul Tedeschini for doing the post-production audio for the podcast. And one last thing, I hope you're choosing to wake up with gratitude every single day.